Oh, it's me, huh?
Were you waiting for me to start it? Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone. It's Morgan's episode. She doesn't know what to say, so here we go.
I know.
Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Am I Doing This Wrong? Same podcast, same gals, new year, new topic. New
it
sickness.
Is a new year.
If anyone can hear that in my voice, I'm so sorry. I am congested. Sorry if my voice is annoying, and sorry if it sounds the same as it always does. Maybe that's what you've thought about my voice this whole time.
Right. Yeah, it always sounds like that. There's no difference. No.
Yeah, I know. Ryan's like, wait, you're sick? Thank you. Thank you so much. So the show must go on.
Yeah. Oh, the show will go on. That's for sure. That's one thing we know for sure. We've sunk way too much time into Canva at this point. Like
That's true. That's true. It's fun though. So fun.
Yeah.
How are you? How are you doing?
Well, I'm not sick, so I feel grateful in this moment. I feel very thankful for my health. It's one of those things like when you get sick, I don't know if this is just me, but it feels like it's going to be forever, right? Like you're like, I guess I'm just a congested asshole now, you know? Like it just feels like it's going to be that way forever. But anyway, so I feel for you is what I'm saying. So I'm feeling very grateful. But I'm really good. I am not ready to totally just let the cat out of the bag about why I'm just so excited. But this has been a good week. It's been a really good week. I also had a therapy appointment earlier today, and it wasn't like all, perfect. Like I did cry. We had a really good conversation. This was also our first official hour-long therapy appointment. They've been 30 minutes up until now.
Oh, okay.
But the last time we went over because it was just a little bit more serious and we kind of got into some stuff. And so she was like, so the next appointment will definitely be an hour. She's like, we've got some things to work out. And so it was really good. And this was like the first appointment that I felt vulnerable, open, but like in a I'm figuring it out, like we're getting somewhere way, right? Like I'm kind of processing. Yeah. And it felt just the slightest, like more uphill, right? Like a little bit more to not just like, oh my God, like, can I tell you everything that's been wrong with my life? So it was really good, but it was a lot, it was heavy. Right. But it's like a faucet, right? Like the more you let out, like the less pressure there is. So
Right. And I think, and we talked about this too, like I think the first few appointments in therapy, one, if you're comfortable with the person that you're talking to and you feel like you can start opening up, it's just like a lot of dumping of things that have been just built up that you haven't dealt with. And then you finally get to a point where you can start working on those things. And that feels really good. So I know exactly what you mean.
No, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, I needed it. Like I said, there's been some pretty big life changes. And so I needed it. I needed that kind of just like moment to pause and really just connect with like, okay, what has happened? What do I expect to happen within the next few months? And yeah, like things are just changing and it's for the best. I didn't think I was going to hit 2022 like so quickly, like new year, new things, but it feels good, and I was like, you know what, if this is how it happens, like, I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to like allow what I feel like is coming to me anyway. You know what I mean? I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to like embrace it and really try to like, come into like my passions and like come into the power that I know I have. So yeah.
Yes. Love that.
Yeah.
And you know what? I support any big dramatic change without a lot of forethought or stability. That's just kind of how I roll. So if someone else wants to do that, and I'm 100% behind, like, because that's just how I have done. I'm not saying it's all worked out. There have been very severe consequences for me, but
Right.
I still go that route in everything I do. So it's just part of my personality. But
right.
it's kind of fun.
It is a
kind
personality
of a fun way
trait.
to go. Yeah. Kind of a fun way to roll, you know?
No, that's really true. I mean, yeah, you know, I'm very like spontaneous and kind of random like that as well in some things. And like you said, it doesn't always turn out the best. It's not like every time I'm like, yeah, it'll work out. I'm like, I mean, it might fucking not, you know, like shit can really hit the fan.
Right.
But even if it does, like you tried, you know, you
Yeah.
went for it. And that's the most important thing. Like, I think sometimes when like life gets really busy, right? Or you get really stressed, you try to at least focus on the things that are a little bit more like stable and like gonna, you know, lessen your anxiety, right? But like the reality is that like I'm always gonna have anxiety. And I realized that my anxiety was the worst when I was like the most quote unquote stable, right? Like when I was in the most stable job of my life, when I was in the most stable time in my career, I probably legitimately had more anxiety then because I knew that wasn't it. Like I was like, this can't be the rest of my life, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a good jump head first, like right into the new year, you know? So here we are, no condom, you know, just winging it.
Just winging it. We love that. Only 78% effective though. We said that. Pull out method.
Oh my God.
That number is going to stick in my head forever. And I just want to reiterate to the audience. So there you go, guys. For the new year, take that little nugget with you into the new year.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Stay safe.
And take another little nugget called a condom into the bedroom.
Yeah. Sage advice.
Right.
From two wrong girls. So there you go.
Hey, they know what they're listening to. Okay. We're talking to all you out there listening and watching. I'm looking at you. You know what you got yourself into. Okay. Read the title again. Don't blame us.
Yeah. We don't know how to be more obvious. Please tell us if we're doing that wrong.
Fair enough.
Oh my God.
But what are we talking about this week, Morgan?
Well, we have a very fun topic that I'm super excited about. I'm really into this. Ryann is sort of. I'll send her the memes and everything, and she'll like give me like a like, which I appreciate. The acknowledgement.
Yeah.
But we are talking about astrology. Ooh, yay.
I know. I feel like there should be like some ethereal music.
Like... I know. Maybe I'll find like a little sound clip right here. Okay, we're done. So.
Oh my God.
So whether you believe or don't believe, I feel like this is something that is pretty involved in at least millennials, like pop culture. I would say astrology is pretty I don't know, a popular subject. I saw a Taco Bell definitely. Commercial that referenced astrology. So I was like, okay, this is like pretty involved. Yeah.
If Taco Bell is, you know, using it in their advertising, obviously it's, you know, it's the now, right?
It's like happening. Yes.
It's the happening. Exactly.
It is. It is. All right. So let's dive in a little bit. So what is astrology? So astrology is a pseudoscience that claims to discern information about human affairs and terrestrial events by studying the movements and relative positions of celestial objects. Okay,
so we're going to break that down for a second.
I know. That's a lot of big words.
Yeah. Celestial.
Celestial. That's like, yeah, it's a lot of mouth moving.
Really, yeah, it really sits on the tongue.
Yeah.
Celestial.
Really gets in the jowls, you know?
Is that just because you're sick? It's just because you're sick.
I know. It's because my throat was itchy. I'm like, I don't know, make me say celestial again.
But okay. All right. So it studies what again?
So okay. So it's a pseudoscience that claims to discern information about human affairs and terrestrial events. Okay. So basically
human affairs, like human behaviors or human interactions.
I think just affairs overall, because if you think about astrology, you can look it up in regards to your love life, in regards to your career, in regards to your health.
Okay.
So I think affairs is pretty general in that sense.
Okay. All right. Fair
yeah.
enough.
So it has been dated back to the second millennium BCE. And
what's the E? I know BC. What's BCE? Because BC is before Christ, right?
Right. Hold on, please.
And then
let me consult my trustee.
Yeah, because I'm really wondering. I don't know if I've ever heard. I think I have heard BCE, but
before Common Era. So it's a secular version of before Christ. That's interesting, exactly. Though. I'm glad you made me look that up because I did not know that.
Right as I said it, I was like,
when I was doing the research.
Okay, as I said it, I do remember hearing BCE after, because it was like, yeah, exactly. Like if you're not, a religious person, or even of certain religions, right? Because not every religion recognizes Christ. Right. So I remember actually learning about BCE, but obviously not enough because I didn't remember what it meant. So anyway, but okay, BCE. So it started when?
So it's been dated back to at least the second millennium BCE.
Got it. Okay.
So many cultures have attached importance to astronomical events, including Hinduism, Chinese, Mayans, and they developed elaborate systems. Sorry, I lost my place. They developed elaborate systems for predicting terrestrial events based on celestial observations. Okay. Which makes sense. I mean,
does it? I mean, look, I'm a skeptic. I'm going to be like,
you are.
Playing devil's advocate, of course. But what about, because like, that's what I'm thinking, like, especially back then, like nowadays, sure, I guess we know a little bit more about like space. We really don't know that much, actually. Like space is so vast. Like we really don't know that much.
It's so vast.
But I'm just thinking like way back when, they're like, starting a fire, but like also burning themselves because they don't understand that fire like burns them. And then they like look up, and they're like, but you know what? I think I understand that little dot will mean tomorrow, you're going to have a baby. It's like, are you sure it wasn't not just my stomach? And now that we know babies come out of them, you know what I mean?
All of your examples are terrible. By the way.
Why? How is that a terrible example?
Well, I think before we had like the calendar, I mean, we learned in what was our last episode? New Year's resolutions episode. Mm-hmm. About Julius Caesar creating the calendar starting with January. So prior to that, there were other ways of, like tracking harvest and seasons and things like that. So that's what I was saying made sense.
Okay. So things that can be tracked. See, that's the thing when you said like human affairs, that's why I was like, what affairs? Like there's so many ways that people use astrology to like dictate
which affairs
or influence life. Yeah. So I'm just like affairs. Yeah.
Right. Okay. No. Yeah, I agree. And so I think this description is kind of defining what it is, talking about kind of where it started. And then it goes on to say that contemporary Western astrology is often associated with systems of horoscopes that help to explain aspects of a person's personality. And I think that's where we go back to that pseudoscience reference.
Okay, yeah.
And then predict significant events in their lives, like you were saying, having a baby, based on the position of celestial objects. So that's what it is.
And like objects meaning just like the stars, right? Moon.
The stars, planets, yeah. Where your moon is in what house.
Right.
When I say into it, I'm not as into it. Like, I don't want people to come for me, like, because I'm not pretending to be an astrology expert.
No, and of course not. But I do think it's interesting. I've been to a few like events about like birth charts, and it's super complicated and like convoluted. And so a little bit I'm like, This is like hard to follow, but I'll listen for the traits and like the behaviors,
Yeah.
I kind of just have to trust that like what you're saying. Like, I'm like, okay, I was born at this time, so apparently this is me.
Right.
And if anything fits, then like, hey, why not? Why not lean into it a little bit? So, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Lean in.
Lean in.
Okay, so the purpose of astrology. So it was to inform the individual of the course of their life based on the position of the planets and the zodiac signs at the moment of birth or conception. So that's why when you were talking about your birth chart, it is important that you know what time you're born so that you can get a correct or accurate reading.
Okay.
From this science called, why do I keep doing research that has words that I don't know how to pronounce? Genealogy. Casting
what?
nativities.
Oh.
Genealogy.
Huh? Oh, okay. Sounded like pedophilia for a second. And I was like, Morgan.
No, this is a fun one. We're not getting weird on this one. Well, maybe. I don't know. We'll see what it takes.
Yeah.
So, okay. So it's developed. Oh my gosh. Hold on.
Okay, but what does that like long word mean?
Genealogy, casting nativities is what it says.
Casting nativities?
Yeah.
I don't even know what nativities means. I've just heard that word like used to describe like nativity scenes, but I don't even think I know what that means. Is that when somebody's like born?
Yes, yeah. This is like within the in regards to the time. But maybe this is too convoluted. Maybe I should skip this part.
I think so too.
Because I'm reading on and I don't think it's gonna be any clearer in the next couple sections.
Okay. Yeah, just skip to the fun part. Like what am I about? Why am I a bitch on Sundays?
No.
Is that Mercury in retrograde? What is that?
You want the answer from the notes or you want me to just tell you?
As my best friend, but also
I have my own notes. So.
Yeah, as my new astrologist, please tell me.
Okay, so we're gonna cut that other part out.
Okay.
And we'll just say we've defined what astrology is.
Okay.
So, what are the zodiac signs? So let's just run through them because everyone can probably remember most of them, but then there's always that one that you forget.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Aries, which is from March 21st to April 19th. Taurus, which is April 20th to May 20th. Gemini, which is May 21st to June 21st. Cancer, which is June 22nd to July 22nd. Leo, Jose, which is July 23rd to August 22nd. Virgo, August 23rd to September 22nd. Libra, September 23rd to October 23rd. That's Ryann. Scorpio, October 24th to November 21st. Sagittarius, that's me. That's from November 22nd to December 21st. Capricorn, December 22nd to January 19th. Aquarius, January 20th to February 18th. And last but not least, Pisces, which is February 19th to March 20th. So there's your reminder. Did you know all those, Ryann?
Yeah, obviously. I was just listening to you say all these numbers and I'm like, Jesus, this is
I know. I don't know the days, especially if you're like on the cusp. And that's a whole nother thing too. If you are, they call it like a cusp. I don't know. I guess they just call it a cusp. I don't know why I'm trying to make it so dramatic, but like.
Well, they call them like cusp people, right?
Cusp
like,
people.
Oh, like, yeah, I'm a Scorpio, but I'm on the cusp. Like, you're also on my last nerves. So like, what does that mean?
You're also on my last nerve. I know. Well, our friend Jose is on the cusp. He's the first day of Leo.
Mm-hmm.
But he's cusped.
Cusped.
Oh, that's gonna be staticky on the recording. Just watch. I'm gonna have to edit.
Yeah.
So he's right on the cusp. Cancer, quite an emotional sign. Leo, quite an attention-seeking sign. Both describe Jose.
Yeah. That's so true. And that's the thing. Like I know a lot of Leos. We know a lot of Leos. And I also know a few Cancers, not too many, but I've realized that I definitely mesh well with Leos. Because I think that like I don't get intimidated by the fact that they like want a lot of the spotlight, because it just like, it usually just like makes for a really fun time. It's like watching a jester, you know what I mean?
You're just here
for
the
look
show.
At me. Yeah, exactly. I'm just here for the ride, get me some popcorn. I'm good. So
that's true. That's true. I do look at it that way too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. We're talking about you, Leos. So, okay. So how many people believe in astrology? Ryann? Not so much. So.
I know on this podcast, it's a 50-50 toss.
It's a 50-50. Yeah. Okay. So according to a 2018 Pew Research poll, about 29% of American adults now believe in astrology, and women are more likely
what was the
to
percent?
believe than men.
What was the
29%.
So 29% of people within the US believe in astrology?
American adults.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that number seem high or low to you? Or about right? If you had to guess.
Honestly, about right. Because it's one of those things where like I hear a lot about it, but I think that's because I know quite a few people myself that are kind of into it.
Yeah.
And maybe those people like attract each other, right? Because
true.
I mean, I guess it's just like any other belief system, right? Like you're going to try to like find people that, kind of can understand where you're coming from, I guess.
Yeah.
But I do also think that younger adults like our age, I think it is a lot more popular. Which, you cited the Taco Bell ad. So that tells us everything we need to know.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's what I would guess. I would have probably said about like 25%, somewhere around there, like maybe 20 even. But it is becoming more popular. And like, that's the thing, I think also just with like internet culture, astrology, like it's looped in, and it's really funny, to see like all of the different memes about like, oh, what house rising and, like what moon I am or whatever. So it's really interesting, but it just lets you know that it's becoming a lot more mainstream, and a lot of more people are, maybe not necessarily believing in it, but at least like engaging with it in a way,
Right.
And so it just takes stigma away, which is always good, because it, let people live their best astrological lives, whatever. Let it.
Yes.
Let live.
Yes, honey. Yes, I feel validated.
Yeah.
I follow a bunch of astrology pages on my Instagram.
They're all in my DMs.
No shame.
I know.
I said Ryann her Libra ones, even if they're mean. She's like, ouch, that's rude. I was like, it's just this, it's written in the stars. Sorry, bitch.
Well, no, and like that's the thing. I love my sign. Like I love Libras. Like I love like the whole vibe of Libras. I also love Sagittarius. I have quite a few Sagittarius in my life. Yeah, obviously. Self-absorbed. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we already talked about this.
I know. But no, I really enjoy it. I mean, yeah, I like, and I've always liked like things about like the moon and the stars. I think it's super interesting to learn about like astronomy in general.
Yeah.
And so it's always been something that I've like kind of I knock it, just to, again, play devil's advocate. I'm ridiculous, but I really do think it actually is really interesting to like, get some like really interesting insight. And again, there's nothing wrong with ever being introspective, right? Because a lot of times like the people that are into astrology tend to be, very introspective people that want to have like deep discussions about, personality and behaviors and their future. And like, none of those are bad things to talk about. But what do I know? I'm just a girl talking into a mic every week. So,
there's also that thing. Yeah. Undecisive Libra. Look at you.
Exactly.
Wishy-washy all over the place.
I know.
You're like, I love astrology. It's okay. It just depends on who you're talking to.
Well, that's so funny because when we did the last episode was that the last episode? New Year's resolutions. No, not the last.
Technically, it's the 2 episodes ago.
Okay, perfect. And so when we did that episode, like, what did you ask me? Right. You were like, oh, do you have any like New Year's resolutions? And I was like, no, I want to do yoga.
Oh my God.
So, you know, there's that for you.
Yes. See, all signs of a Libra. Yeah. You are true to your sign.
I am.
So how does this apply to us millennials here, just trying to make it through our day to day, wondering if we're doing it wrong, knowing that we probably are, quote unquote. So I wanted to look at astrology and dating, because I feel like that's where it's really most popular, right? When I said in the beginning that it seems more ingrained in pop culture, I feel like it really is popular when it comes to dating. And I know I do this. I mean, every person I have a crush on, I will look up our like compatibilities.
Oh,
like, yeah, oh, he's cute. Definitely. When's his birthday? You know?
That's so true. And there's like certain signs, like within the dating community that get a lot of hate, you know, and like a lot of like
Scorpios,
judgment.
We're looking at you. Yeah.
Scorpios, Geminis get a lot of hate.
I know.
They're, you know, they're two-faced. I mean, what can you do about it?
Gemini, you know, are my my opposite though. They're like my opposing sign.
Okay.
So I might end up with the Gemini. I'm not writing them off, but Taurus, see you later. Not for me.
I'm married to a Taurus. That's hilarious. But that's the thing. Like, I always have good compatibility with Taurus. Like, I have very good compatibility.
We'll find out.
Okay. You know what? You're right. And I'm like, you have an expiration date of 2 years, sis.
Right. Yeah.
Get together. No.
Exactly. Oh my God. Could you imagine if I just found that? I'm like, I put you into the calculator and your marriage is going to be over in 1.7 minutes. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Wow. You're like, it's insane what's available on the internet.
Yeah.
Okay. So astrology and dating. All right. And of course, we always have our sources in the show notes if you guys want to check it out. But basically, I found this article that says that as much as people, you know, don't love astrology, don't believe in it, young people really do take it into account, which is kind of just the conversation that we had, right? Like, I always look up compatibility between my sign and someone I meet if I'm interested in them. I just do. So in August of 2019, MTV did a survey of 1,000 people ages 14 to 29 and found that 75% of millennials and Gen Zs believe in astrology.
Wait, how many?
So 75% out of 1,000 people that were surveyed, 75% believe in astrology, at least in terms of dating. I mean, this article was regarding dating. So,
And I'll just add something about like sample sizes with like data. 1,000 is like just as, not exactly as, but just as accurate as like 100,000. Because like, it's like, it doesn't mean that just because you have a bigger sample size that the numbers will just like change that much. Like I was listening to a podcast about that not too long ago. And it was like this woman who is like a data specialist. And she was basically saying that like taking a sample size of 1,000 across like the country is actually a lot more accurate and representative than like, like she said like 100,000 or something like that. Just because you have a bigger sample size, it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll have quote unquote more accurate results.
Oh, so that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So then it must be true. 75% millennials and Gen Zs are on board for astrology. And then they said of that 75%, 66% believe that astrology does affect romantic compatibility. So
yeah. Okay.
People are taking this into account.
It's very common conversation to come up when you meet people. And again, it's just always interesting to see how far interested people really are in it, right? Like, it's like, do you know anything past your sign? Which for me, I don't really know much, but I'm always up for the conversation. So, yeah.
Right. But I think it's almost gone a little bit far that there's like this trope of like, if a girl asks like, oh, what's your sign? She's already like working out your birth chart in her head. And so I know I've seen that too. And I'm like, I like astrology, but I'm not gonna, go crazy
walk out
over
of
it. I'm not
walk out
anyone
of a first
who
date.
does. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's funny though, because it just, for as silly as people make it out to be, there's also on the other side for it being too much. So I don't know. Right. So they then were talking about astrology being incorporated in dating apps, which we just talked about. I guess in 2018, Bumble introduced a feature of including your zodiac sign on the app. So you could use your sign on your profile to match with other signs. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah. I'm sure it's out there, but I always had that thought of like, it would be great to have an app for dating based on your astrology sign, which I'm sure it's out there. So no trademark. I know I missed the boat, but I'm just saying, if it's not, then trademark. But
right. Yeah. Astro lovers. I'm sure it exists.
Astro lovers. That sounds like dating for astronauts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Or people who are like, their fetish is aliens, maybe. That might be that too. We might need to workshop that.
Yeah.
Astro lovers.
I'm okay with both. That's fine.
Yeah.
We welcome any and all, which maybe honestly, they'd probably fall on like very different sides of like the spectrum. Like astronauts, I'm sure, like very logical and like right-brained, right? Whereas like astrology people are like, but it's all in the stars, and they're like, I mean, it's just like gas up there. There's yes.
Right. The algorithm just would break. They wouldn't.
Yeah. Right.
There's nothing they could do. Yeah.
Yeah. Their complaint department is just overwhelmed all the time. They're like, I don't think we're not on here for the same reasons. Like your marketing is very vague. You're trying to like cast a wide net here. Right. I'm just going to go back to Tinder. I don't know what to tell you.
Right. Okay. So, so we talked about that. Okay. So OkCupid saw 34% uptick in astrological, term mentions. So people mentioning their zodiac sign in any capacity, between 2017 and 2019. And since 2017, about 25% of both millennials and Gen Zs answer yes to the question, is astrological sign at all important in a match?
Okay. Yeah, it honestly checks out. Like just the amount of interest and also just like in reality, there's so many things about like dating apps in the past that really just don't apply anymore. Like some of the questions were kind of becoming like a little bit outdated, I feel. Just as far as like, like when I first got on the apps, I just feel like even like Bumble, right? Because Bumble's the app that like, is Bumble the app that asks you questions and you have to answer them? Or no, I'm sorry, it's Hinge. Yeah, Hinge, that's the one that I used. Right. So some of the questions, like I could tell they were kind of like gauging like, how much are you really interested in, right? Like some of like the religious questions started to kind of feel like outdated a little bit, which of course you can choose which ones, but I would be really interested to see like, like you said, between those years, definitely there was like more of a pivot towards like, well, what's more relevant to our culture now, right? Like, because in reality, you're probably going to come into contact with at least a few people on a dating app that are into astrology in some way, or at least find it interesting enough to know, right? It doesn't have to dictate everything for you, right? But there is definitely some truths to it as far as like who I've dated and how we have been able to like communicate with each other. Right. I think communication styles for sure. It pretty much hits it on the head for me, at least.
Right. Yeah. And I think, look at these numbers, like 75% said, yes, they do believe in it. So I think if you at least know something about your star sign, whether you believe it or not, that's at least a conversation topic you can cover on a first date. Right. So help yourself like out and look up your star sign.
Right. Exactly. And like immediately, like, that's the thing. Like you can choose, take it or leave it. Right. It's totally up to you. But I do feel a little bit odd when people take it on upon themselves to be like, oh my gosh, like you believe in that stuff, or like, like okay, you don't have to be a jerk about it. You know, like we can still have a conversation about it. And again, that's just like anything else, right? Like, sorry, I don't want to talk about hiking for 2 hours, but like, I don't think it's that interesting. Like, doesn't mean I don't like it, but I'm not going to be like, you're one of those, you know? I mean, I might say it to myself internally.
Oh, right. But... Sure. Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Or like sports. If you're, you know.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Same thing. I mean, I do enjoy some sports, but not to the capacity that like other people watch sports. But that's a huge interest for people. So.
Well, right, exactly. And to like X that out is Xing out a very large amount of the dating pool that you're going to meet. And that's so much more normalized, right? Like, it's like, oh, this is like my diehard team. Like, yeah, like, you know, and I'm like, I mean, the way you act in the stands versus me just like reading on my phone, my horoscope, like who really is the ridiculous one in this situation? Right. You know, I'm like, they don't even know you exist. And you're like wearing their colors on your face. Like, I don't know.
And nothing else, and nothing on your body.
Nothing else on your body. Exactly.
No, that's so true. Yeah. So figure out your sign. So, to wrap it up, the article was, did an interview with a resident astrologer. And she was saying that it helps to people who are committed to their own inner healing and self-awareness learn more about the other person. And that's exactly what we were talking about. If you're interested in this, you're probably interested in learning as much about yourself as possible.
Right.
And so if you find someone who's like-minded and wanting to do the same for themselves, then you can really grow together. And so I did really like that.
Yeah.
And so she finishes up by saying, the moon is our emotional life, our habits, our instincts. Venus is what we value and how we like to be valued. Mars is how we take action and is often associated with sexual needs. It's less about compatibility between your planets per se, that understanding how astrology can better help you communicate what you are experiencing within a relationship.
Yeah, that exactly kind of puts what I've been thinking into like a perfect, you know, short statement, because it's like, I think it's really interesting that, you know, it's 2022, right? And we still have a long way to go in terms of like emotional competency and like understanding how our emotions dictate our actions.
Yeah.
That is something that my therapist actually mentioned to me today. And that is something that, you know, for a lot of people seems kind of like not as important. It might seem like you're just being like, you know, I don't know, like hippy dippy, or, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like stigmas attached to it. But the reality is just that like emotional understanding and emotionally, you know, being able to communicate your emotions effectively, it doesn't matter where it comes from, whether it's astrology or like your therapist or something like that. We need multiple ways, not just one way to communicate our emotions. I really do think we need like multiple ways to understand how to be compatible with other people, because I don't think compatibility is just like you said, it's not showing up to a first date and saying, oh, you're a Gemini. Oh, well, I thought this could work. I'm so sorry. Right. You know what I mean? It's more so, you know, talking about those things, bringing up some of those themes that maybe go with your sign, and then like taking what works and, you know, leaving the rest, right? Like, it doesn't mean that like everything has to stick to you. I was actually just talking about this earlier. It's also your environment, right? Like the way that you're able to express yourself. If you grew up in a very emotionally restricting environment, and, you know, and now, you know, you might not be the biggest proponent or believer in astrology, well, there might be a connection there, right? It might not be that astrology is the problem. It might just be that you just really are in touch with your emotional side. Right. You know what I mean?
That's a fair point. Yeah, no, that's really true. That's a really good example. Yeah.
So get in touch, you know?
And I forgot to write it in my notes, but they did say, don't write off anyone just because of their sign. You know, take the time, or, you know, be grateful for the opportunity to meet anyone. It doesn't mean everything's going to be a perfect match every time. But it's always exciting to meet someone new, and we shouldn't just be writing people off because, you know, they're a Scorpio. So
fair enough. Much love to all the Scorpios. It's okay. You're not the only one, you know. Drake is a Scorpio, and he just wears his emotions right on his album.
Right on his album. Nice. Yeah.
They're just all right there for you to hear. And you know what? Like, kudos, because it's a lot harder to find those guys. As much as like he gets like shit online for like being a simp and, you know, all those things, he is out there. He's like, look, I don't know what you want from me, but I'm gonna go cry and make another album. So
right. Yeah.
It's hopefully he's very emotionally stable. That's what I'm hoping for him.
He's very into astrology, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, okay. So let's wrap it up by talking about our compatibilities. So Ryann, as we have said, is a Libra. So your top compatibilities in communication are Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, and Sagittarius. Me.
Yay.
We should start a podcast.
That checks out. What was the first one? I'm sorry. Aquarius,
Aquarius, yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So low in Taurus though, so you got to work on your communication with your partner.
Well, that's the thing. That is like this is a perfect example. Like, yeah, me and my partner, we do communicate completely different. But the reality is that you don't really find out about people's true communication styles until well into the relationship. Like the reality is that everyone, and again, okay, maybe I shouldn't say everyone, but in my experience, you know, in the relationships that I've had, you try to be very agreeable for like the first, honestly, like 1.5 to 2 years.
Oh yeah, the honeymoon.
You try,
yeah,
right? You try to have, you know, or at least meet them, you know, like figure out like, oh yeah, I kind of understood what they said. You know, it's really not until you get like deeper into a relationship that you realize we communicate completely different. Like what you're saying to me that I like used to laugh off, like I actually wasn't understanding what you were trying to communicate. You know what I mean? And so we've actually done not astrology tests, but we've done communication style tests where like, you know, cool. How is this? Yeah. Like, how is this helping our communication style? How is this hurting our communication style? Right. And like, what can we do to make sure that when you say these types of things, I don't take it this way. Right. And I'm a work in progress. I mean, you know, I still am like, what? But, you know, point being, I knew off the bat that like we didn't communicate the same, but it's always been that way with people in my life that are Tauruses. Like I know we don't communicate the same, but we still are able to like mesh really well together. And yeah, we enjoy each other's company for sure. So
yeah, that's good. Well,
yeah,
my communication with a Taurus is low. That's why her partner and me don't get along no, we just tease each other a lot.
No, but it's definitely that you like communicate completely different.
Oh yeah, we're sure. Very but because I'm impulsive and reckless, and he's like, stop doing that, and I'm like, no. Do it more.
So true. So what's your list?
So my top for communication are Aquarius, Cancer, Leo, and Libra.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Aquarius is still top on yours as well. Interesting. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. So the next category is love.
Okay.
So your top are Gemini. Oh, that's your only one. All the rest are medium or low. Sorry.
Oh, really? What's like the medium?
Medium is Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Libra, Scorpio, Capricorn.
Interesting. So
we're low. Yeah. I'm Sagittarius. We're low in love.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
That's why Morgan never tells me she loves me. It's okay.
It's just uncomfortable for me because that's something I need to deal with in therapy. I show you my love in other ways. You know that.
That's so true. She sent me cookies on my birthday. They were so good. But they were like specialty cookies. You know, she didn't see me like Famous Amos.
I know. I DoorDashed her like a box of Oreos.
Which is like more expensive for the DoorDash than they are for the Oreos.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gas over here was like more expensive. But that's really interesting. And, you know, that's the thing. Like Libras we're kind of just like we're kind of like we get picked last in the dodgeball game, you know, like we don't really have like a problem with anyone necessarily, you know, like we don't really have that type of like fiery headbutting situation with anybody. I don't, you know, like think, and I've never heard of. It's more so just like, you know, we're here, you know, we've arrived, but we can mesh with pretty much anyone. It doesn't mean we like them all. And my therapist told me that I'm passive aggressive. So it doesn't mean that I don't have problems. It just means that, you know, I'll tell Morgan about them later on a podcast. So,
right. Yeah. Morgan and by default, the rest of the world, now that we're putting it on the air. So, okay. So my love compatibility highest ones are going to be Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love yourself.
love thyself. So
I don't think I know any Aries, like personally.
Mike and Colin.
Oh, they both were interesting.
They had the same birthday.
Right. Yeah.
These were some old friends from Santa Barbara.
Yes. Yeah.
But yes.
That makes sense.
They were Aries.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next one is friendship, which you have, again, highest ones are Aquarius, Taurus this time,
okay.
Leo, and Libra.
Nice. And you know what? That's so interesting. I'd rather my partner be high in friendship than high in communication, because like you can build up communication. You really can. Like that's a work in progress that we all can do better on.
Sure, absolutely.
You know, but friendship, you know, obviously is going to be a lot more important because that's going to withstand, you know. And again, it doesn't mean that it's going to withstand everything. Like nobody knows the future. But that's super interesting because we actually just talked about that recently, just about like being friends and like actually wanting to be around each other versus just like being passionate or, you know, loving each other or something like that. So
lovers. Yeah.
Lovers.
So my highs for friendship are Aquarius, Aries again, and Sagittarius again. We are low. I might have to rethink this. I might need to go find me another Sagittarius. I don't know.
Ugh, whatever.
That's what the stars are telling me.
Yeah. The stars are telling me.
So who are our overall top compatibility? So for Ryann as a Libra, her overall top compatibility matches are Aquarius, Gemini, Leo, and another Libra.
Okay, interesting.
Mine are Aquarius, Aries, Leo, and another Sagittarius. So we both have a Leo, so that's good. We both have Jose.
Right.
So he's like our little glue. Little blonde-headed glue right in the middle.
No, that checks out. That's interesting. I also don't know, like I was just kind of thinking of like other close people that have been in my life, but in reality, like you two were the only constants. So anybody else, I was like, I mean, I really don't care about their sign because they're not around really. But friendship wise, totally makes sense. Yeah, that checks out. Yeah.
No, I see it. I was thinking that too as we were going through, like, I know Cancers, I know Aquarius. I was kind of going down the list in my head too of people I know in the signs. I was like, okay, yes, that makes sense. That person. Right. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So I was doing the same thing. But yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. Need to go find an Aries. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll get on Bumble.
Yeah. Just go
turn on the Zodiac and do some research. Yeah.
Right.
See if these numbers
and that's
are
the thing.
True.
If they were interested enough to put in their sign, right, to input their sign on the app, they're probably interested enough to, you know, actually pursue a little bit of, you know, more conversation there. It doesn't always have to be necessarily a love match. It could just mean that, you know, you have some good conversation with people that also are, you know, open to having, you know, discussions about astrology. It's not every day that you get to just like have this discussion unless, you know, you just have a bunch of friends that are into it.
Right.
So,
and you know what? Most people are interested, even if they're skeptical. If you're someone who knows about the stars and someone kind of doesn't really want to have the conversation, but then you're like, oh, you're a Virgo. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, well, what about Virgos? Right. Everyone wants to talk about themselves. Like, yeah. Of course.
Well, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
So I say embrace it. If we're doing this wrong, I don't think so. It just seems like it's part of dating culture now, at least. I mean, I think it's interesting overall. I look at my horoscope in regards to my financial success, my career path, you know, just my understanding of myself.
Yeah. I mean, I've done it wrong before. I definitely, like, when I first started getting into astrology, like kind of right after high school, I remember I had this app and I would like check it every morning and try to like connect the dots to like what was going on in my life a little bit too much. And it almost became like a point of like contention and kind of like not like making myself unsure of the things that I was doing, because like I felt like it wasn't either living up to the, you know, what I read, or I was like, oh, things are going really well, but like my horoscope says that like I should really like brace myself. And it's like, just like live your fucking life, you know, like, yeah. But that was a lot more pointed. It was like a daily one that was like this, you know, so obviously, you know, different apps, or, you know, the way that you go about reading them, maybe I just didn't know enough about it to be like really trying to read into it that way, you know?
Right.
You used words on here that I never even heard about. So obviously I still need to do some research.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know them either, to be fair. We'll probably cut a lot of that out. So we'll see. But if anyone wants to get into astrology, I definitely recommend the CoStar app. That one's fun. You got to know your date and time and location of birth. But it's really interesting. It's really easy to read. You can connect with friends. It's cool. It's interesting. Oh, nice. I like it.
Cool.
It's free.
Okay. Or just follow Morgan on Instagram and then she'll blow up your DMs.
Yes. Let's become friends. Tell me your sign and then I'll send you all the things about your sign.
Right.
The good, the bad.
Yeah.
The interesting. It's all there. So.
And it's all here on this podcast.
Yes. All right. Well, that wraps it up for this week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again. We are so excited for this new year. So many fun topics planned for the future. Yes. Thank you so much to the interpreters from ProBonoASL. We really appreciate you guys being here with us. Rate, review, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out on YouTube for the visual conversation. We'd love to hear from you on Instagram and soon to be Twitter. Our handle is @WrongThePodcast. Anything else?
I don't think so. Yeah, you hit them all. Yeah, Twitter's a beast of a fucking app. So I'm in there. I'm trying, you know, 0 followers, but we have nowhere to go but up. So
that's right. Low bar, you can only go up from there. We love that.
Exactly.
Yes.
Stars are the limit. You know what I mean?
Oh, such a good tie-in. Look at you.
Hey, I'm a Libra. That's what I'm here for.
Oh my gosh. All right. Thank you guys so much. We will see you or talk to you next week. All right. Bye. All right.